And then the re-entry pipeline. So this is one of the things that we did for the Alameda County. When someone releasing from the jail, we don't want to open the door to let them go, just walk them out, correct? But we need to find a way to get them enrolled into a society. How do we re-enter them back to the society and understand their behavioral health, correct? So that's pretty powerful. So we did that kind of work as well. And the last is budget analysis. This is for the primarily the state agencies. So state agencies wanted to find out so how much money I've been spending, where the money has been spent, what the outcome of this money, and what's the impact in terms of the external factors, which is the inflations and market conditions, how that is going to impact my budget actually. So that's the another use case.
We are here to take an incredible look at civic technology. Anthropic Claude, powered by autonomous and deterministic citizen-focused AI research lab for public service, is being brought to you by none other than Jothi Periasamy. Jothi Periasamy is an AI architect, and today his focus is on the local city governments, particularly in Silicon Valley. Welcome Jothi to YoIndiaTV with me, Jasleen, and tell us a little more about Anthropic.
Anthropic, as you know, it's a bigger company. We are here to represent Athena Technologies. Athena Technologies focused on MES, Manufacturing Execution System. They have been in business around 17 years. They wanted to transform their business into artificial intelligence, and that's when I got involved. I specialize in AI, and I also do consulting work and teach on AI. So recently we formed Fab Orchestrator, which is the focus on providing factories to use autonomous agent to function independently, and that's how the Fab Orchestrator came into picture. So I'm working with Athena Technologies to help them to build this Fab Orchestrator platform. So the focus shifted from Fab Orchestrator to bring more community interaction. How do we do community interaction? So there has to be some kind of way to collaborate with the community, and that's when Fab Orchestrator decided to open up for a research lab in Fremont. The research lab primarily focuses on bringing ideas to life and helping people to shape their thoughts and be creative on certain aspects of artificial intelligence. So which provides all the things what we need someone to get involved in the space of advanced artificial intelligence, such as agentic AI. So either you have an idea, you have a problem to be solved, or you want to get involved, it's a platform. So that platform provides everything that wants someone to be get started with agentic AI. So that's where we are doing it.
And eventually, they're on the path of becoming an AI architect themselves, not a small thing. A lot of people are still afraid of AI. A lot of people still think that AI will replace them. And, they're pretty much against evolving technology, which can simplify their lives in many ways. So for those who have some intimidation, who have some fear, who are not so open at this point, as an expert AI architect, how are you going to talk to them? Sure. Let's talk to those people by way of YoIndiaTV.
Change always happens, correct? So change is not something that we can't say no to them. Correct? So whenever there's a change occurs, so we all in a position to willing to adopt those changes. The change that happens in the world of artificial intelligence, something that market driven, correct? So industry is looking for more way to increase productivity, be more efficient, be more cost effective, correct? So all these are driving factors. So public, there shouldn't be any worry about I'm going to lose my job, or this job is going to be taken away. Even if you think that way, there are more jobs are getting created, correct? So that is why we are here. So we are here to create a readiness awareness for the community to understand what are the different jobs that I could get and what skills I need to have. And those are the skills that we want to bring to life. And these skills are something that so very unique in nature. That means you don't find these skills in the market space. So it's an upcoming skill. So so the main focus is, let's not worry about what jobs is going to take away. Let's worry about what do I get to this journey of AI and what skill I need and how do we be successful in this journey. So that's why we are here.
So I have heard that Fab Orchestrator.ai is bringing a 12 weeks architect program. Who this is meant for?
So this is meant for the course. The program is structured in such a way, it has foundation, intermediate, advanced, right? Be well thought through, because not everybody at the same level of learning. So there is a learning challenges, and also there is prior experience people carry so far, okay? So how do we package all of those? And that's why we came up with the option of the learning should take place foundation, teach the foundational skills what they need. then advance them. So take it to the next step, then go to the advanced level where they can build real old use cases which could be useful for the city, which could be useful for any public service actually. So I wouldn't worry about hey, I don't have prior experience, I never done this one before actually, so let's not worry about this. So the program is designed in such a way, it will handle from foundation to intermediate to advanced, you should be fine.
Wonderful. So till now, I have seen most of the use cases of AI that are focused on employee productivity or in automating some processes, particularly the robotic automation that we see, and then people talk about, we need more power, we should have harnessed more power to make it keep working. What are the challenges you think are going to come?
Sure. So let's take a step back. Use case is not just only employee productivity, it's all over the place, correct? The advancement in artificial intelligence happens every day, every minute, every second, correct? So these advancements are happening actually. So these advancements are enabling business to see the true value of artificial intelligence, correct? So that means it's just not only employee productivity, it goes across any industry, any type of function that you could think of, correct? So coming to when you talk about okay, what are the challenges people have typically when you go onto this type of implementation or this kind of building an application or a solution? So the number one, as I always say, skill matters, correct? If you don't have the right skill, it will be very difficult to build this one. And that is why if you notice, the success rate of artificial intelligence use cases is not that high. Why? So surgery can be done only by a surgeon. If you don't have a surgeon, obviously surgery will not go anywhere, correct? So we need skilled professionals, we need skilled people who can understand how to work, how do we transform a business idea into a solution to an implementation. So that requires a deeper critical thinking skills, correct? So that is why we came up with this program of providing community, a program which helps them to understand all the different skills that needed actually, and how do I be very successful in this one actually. So there's no challenge. The challenges will be, we can overcome those challenges, but those challenges is something that need to be addressed step by step, correct? So identify what challenges do you have. If most likely if you have skill issues, then find the right program, find the right talent, and train them, coach them, mentor them, and make them to be successful.
So for local city governments, I think this is a big move. Silicon Valley is again pioneering in the AI effort. We have not seen this kind of effort before. We have seen AI helping the coders, AI helping people in other walks of life. But for the city government, for the public administration, I think this is a new opening. So what can citizens expect?
Yes. So I specialize in public services. I've done a lot of work in the space of public services. The public services will have a lot more involvement in artificial intelligence, defining policies, correct? And also helping citizens to understand, actually, do not worry about your job, actually, so find a way to be, get engaged with the program, projects and things that happen in the city, actually, correct? So that's why we chose what is the best place to make a real impact. The best place to make a real impact is through public services, correct? So when we say public services, it could be citizens, it could be what kind of operation the city is performing, the public services are performed, actually. So for that, we are trying to help the city to understand what it takes to, for example, one of the use case that we are going to talk about today, it's called it's document intelligence, correct? So when I say document intelligence, if you look at on the surface, any public entity you go, they do procurement, they do appraisal, they do operating procedures, correct? There are so many project management documents. So how do we manage all this document in a centralized place, correct? So, and that is when you bring these kind of solutions, correct? So we are working with cities, we are working with the counties and state and all the agencies and helping them to understand what impact these type of solutions could make. Not just only increasing employee productivity, it also efficiency, cost and everything actually. So we are here to help the city. So that's one of our mission and focus at this point.
How have you tested and how do you intend to tap the hallucinogenic effect? How do you want to make sure that when the databases of the city government are scraped, then no critical error or no policy is reflecting something that it shouldn't call out?
Sure. Every problem there's a solution, correct? It's a question of whether you like the solution or not, actually, correct? So the people talk about hallucination, people talk about randomness, people talk about inconsistency, non-deterministic response, correct? All these are all known problems, correct? But can we address this problem? Yes. If you completely depend on the model, that's what's going to happen, okay? Do not depend on completely the model, correct? The model knows what it's supposed to do, but real world could be different. Real world could be something that beyond what the model knows about it, correct? So there are techniques, there are ways you can overcome those challenges actually. So that is one of the most things that what companies are challenging actually. So we find a way to do two things. One is how do we make sure actually the AI responds back to you in a consistent deterministic manner. Second, low cost, correct? Cost is a driving factor, correct? So today it could be very experimental. Today it could be like kind of like research-based initiatives. But when it comes to mainstream, when it goes to real production, then you have a high cost to be consumed, correct? So how do you control this cost, and how do you make sure actually the business are able to adopt this one? And this is what we were very heavily focused on. How do we build a model which provides consistent deterministic response, and how do you operate in a low cost actually? So that's one of our key success, and that's why we are here to talk to the city and help them to understand this one.
Brilliant. So last but not the least, what are the next steps for the common public? How do they get connected with this AI Architect program by faborchestrator.ai?
Sure. So again, everything takes time, correct? It's not going to happen overnight, correct? Like, so even if you want to do it, it's not that easy, correct? Like, so it's going to take some time. So since we are locally located in Fremont, California, and we also work very closely with all the states and cities and counties actually, so we are open to explore with anyone who's interested in to get to know about more of this program. And also, like, in terms of they have an idea that they wanted to explore with us, we are open for that as well actually. So this is an open platform, correct? It is not like in a closed loop where you can't get an access. So anyone, everyone, those who are interested, those who are serious, they can come to us, they can talk to us, whatever way they want to get involved. If they want to do work for us, they want to do research, they have a problem to be solved, we are open for anything actually. So it's an open platform.
How do they contact you?
So we have our contact emails here, phone numbers here actually. There's so many different ways we can contact, and I'm in LinkedIn actually, like, so LinkedIn is very powerful at this point actually. I'm also in all the social media as well actually, so we can get involved in whatever way we wanted actually. I don't see that's a problem actually.
So get yourselves involved, there is a huge blend, huge collaboration, huge convergence, huge integration that is happening between various domains and AI. And Jothi Periasamy is bringing his AI knowledge, expertise and intelligence into those domains. For example, we have semiconductor industry, we have other manufacturing areas, electronics, and tons of more domains where the expertise is being converged. Learn according to your interest, and seek some growing moves through this wonderful and intelligent software that Jothi is bringing for you. Any final words to all the viewers of YoIndiaTV?
Nothing is easy, and it's not a green field. All can be achievable. It's all based on your commitment, interest, hard work. Okay, there is no substitute. Those who are serious, those who are committed, those who are interested, the future is great. And it's not just only money pots, in all aspects it's great. So you learn a lot of things. So get involved, explore, be successful.
Thank you so much, and all the very best.
Thank you.
The city government has got a lot of data, and one of the things, I think the previous slides talked about this, that is, we need, when we give something back to the community, to the residents, any resident facing application, it should be authenticated. And then I think one of the last bullet item there was human in the loop. We forgot to mention that, and then that was one of the recommendations on the guardrails we did when we did the AI Advisory Committee framework for local governments. There are different types of documentation, documents, PDFs, the minutes of the meeting, video, audio, all these kinds of things. How do we extract data from that, and then how do we question and then get some response? For example, what was Sunnyvale's response to all the El Camino Real plan? What exactly we decided and when it was decided? That today we cannot answer that unless we go through. A normal query will not happen. You cannot do that because it's, first of all, the data format itself is varied, but more importantly, it's not in single location. I am a cloud architect, and then even data lake couldn't have solved this problem. So this was the problem, and then Jothi will, I don't see the solution, so I'm really excited to see the solution.
Sure. What I meant to say, the intent and context, what the agent need to understand. So once you understand the intent and context, in our case, on the fly, it creates the MCP server and connector. So the MCP server is nothing but an instruction to the agent where to go and look for the data and access the data, right? So that's just, you could imagine an API call that you're making actually, correct? So it is trying its best to tell where this line item spends are coming in actually, correct? So the point is, it is not a static information. It is a system letting you to interact directly, answer any question as and when things happen on your mind, correct? So it is basically like, as I said, another person standing behind you and answering your question, you don't know who that person is, correct? So that is where it stands. Microsoft Copilot can read a simple email or an Excel document or a Word document, something very lightweight. You cannot build rules on it, correct? Like when I say rules on it, in a procurement document, you have different classification, such as, correct, mandatory costs. If you meet all the mandatory costs, your point is 50. If you don't meet, your point is XYZ, correct? Then cost, then expertise, etc. What is this? So these are all evaluation criteria. Can I do this in Microsoft Copilot? Answer is no. Answer is no. And that is when we need an agentic AI solution. Okay, so this is a full-scale agentic AI solution. Okay, so if you have any questions on agentic AI technicality, we can take it offline, we'll discuss. But all practical purpose understand, this is not Microsoft Copilot where it's a chat interface where you can go and ask question and get a response. It is very complex, correct? So, and this is a full-scale agentic AI solution. It understands as certain aspects of finance, planning, budgeting, forecasting. As a city, what is my budget? How do we plan for this? It's all data that's not put from your systems. It's publicly available. Any resident, anyone, any citizens or anybody who has access to this website, they all can go and look at it actually. So that's what we're in the scene. And as I said, it's a full-scale agentic AI solution. This is not a Microsoft Copilot type of a solution. Alright, so, and that's why we put it here. GovDoc is beyond Microsoft Copilot and it reads and checks, decides. Okay, so I'll go ahead and log in. So this is the kind of like login page that we have. So once I log in, it gives you different functions. So you could see there are a lot of different functions in a document intelligence you can do. So I talked about rubrics, which is nothing but evaluation criteria. I can define under what condition I want to evaluate this document. I can look at the document, I can evaluate, I can add more rubrics, right? So when I say rubrics, I said like, so I'm trying to procure software, I'm trying to procure a service. Now I have 100 people bid for this product. So how do we define under what criteria I'm going to procure this one? And that's what rubric does. So not just only procurement, anything that you want to define as a condition that in a document that I'm going to look for, and based on the condition I want to take an action. Okay? If the condition met, then this is what I'm going to do. If the condition doesn't meet, I'm not going to do this one. Okay? So you could define such rubrics in a way the model can understand. All these are all being the same, an instruction goes to the agent. Okay? All these things what we are doing here, it's an instruction for the agent to understand this one. So it is a lot more involved. I'm just going to quickly go back, like so the point that I was trying to make. So now the demo purpose, I'm going to go on to search and ask. So this is where what we are going to look at actually, right? So there's a lot of different things behind the scene. I am not going to that level of detail. So assume it is an agent you are directly talking to, an invisible human who can understand your question and they will answer this question. I have some sample prompts. I'm going to take those prompts and then and explain to you actually. So this is for an RFP. So these are some of the prompts that, based on my conversation with Mr. Murali, I was able to come up with actually. So I'm asking about the total operating budget for this one actually. So this is again based on the information that is provided on the public website, correct? So this is a question: what is the Sunware's total operating budget for fiscal year 2025-2026, correct? So it is not like I'm not saying this is very difficult to build. It's easy to build. It's not that difficult actually. So all it is doing right now, it understands on the fly. It has something we built. It's called MCP, and I'm sure the people know the technicality. It's called Model Context Protocol. So it knows where to go and get the data, and these are all not hard-coded rules, correct? A decision that dynamically made, correct? So when I say decision dynamically made, based on your prompt, we write the MCP tool and server on the fly, okay? And it's not a hard-coded rule, so it is something that driven based on your prompts. So that is the beauty of building an AI system. In the traditional way, we hard-code all those things, correct? If the question is this and do this, Your question is not this, don't do this one, correct? In this context, we are not doing any of those, and not even a single line of code is written, correct? So based on your prompt, we understand your intent, your context. The intent and context drives behind the scene the agent to function. So it understands where to go and what to do, and it's able to find. So I don't know whether this numbers are right or not, but
This is correct.
okay, okay. So alright. So that is just for an example to understand this one. So now I'm going to compare this one with other cities. Like let's say I'm asking about compare the spend of Fremont, the same thing, but the public safety spending actually. So I'm asking the agent, hey, not just only telling me like how much money has been spent. So can you also tell me how's the comparison of this one actually? So compare Sunnyvale's versus Fremont in public safety spending. Allow just to show me in the chat actually. So it's going to basically compare these two cities spent for the category that what you asked for, and it is going to tell you so this is how much it's able to find actually. So here you could see it is very similar to what a human could do, correct? So when I say human could do, so we understand the question, we analyze what has been asked for, and we go and look for data. Once we collect the data, then we prepare and produce the report actually. So here also safety, yes sir.
I want to. This is so amazing for two reasons. In Sunnyvale, public safety combines police and fire. Here, the agent identified that and then compared, extracted. Whereas Fremont, there are two departments, police and fire. So it extracted. Thank you very much. This is really smart.
Thank you, sir. So now this was the topic was spoken, and this information was found, and it is going to find citation where it found, when it found, and all those information and all, correct? So you could see it talks about things that in a summarized way. So it talked about so in this particular forum they talked about all the different things. So maybe Mr. Murali can explain this one. Here you could see citations, and this is basically the date and time and where it found all this information. So it is not just made up. And this lot of talk about the model is producing a random response. That is not true. It is a question, how do you make the model to work for you? Correct? And that is not an easy task. That's not going out and ChatGPT and asking a question, getting a response, correct? That needs very deeper insights on model behavior, correct? How does the model behave, correct? So it is not an easy question to answer when a model is not responding what you're looking for. When a model produces random responses, when a model says something different than what we expected, how do you make sure the model understands what you're asking for, and how do you get the consistent and deterministic response, correct? So this is basically tells the citation where this information has been found, correct? So I'm sure you know this one, sir. I'm not an expert in this space, so I wouldn't be able to comment this one. If you want to say anything, that's fine.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Athenatec is a major thoroughfare north-south, runs north-south in Sunnyvale, and then it's a two-lane road, that is one lane in each direction, and then there is parking space on both sides for the residents. The problem we were trying to solve, the issue was bike and pedestrians wanted the parking space to be removed and then converted to a bike lane. The question is, should it be done or shouldn't it be done? So we went through, first it goes through bicycle pedestrian advisory committee, BPAC, and then comes to the city council on 9/30th, 2025. I think it was later than that, but anyway. So there were all these public comments, and then these are the public comments. I can read that. Of course, there is some spelling mistake, but overall, it's all very, very valid. And then public spoke about for and against the issue, so we could then make a determination. And then this is what the power is. And then, as I said, it's unstructured data. It's spoken by public, so there is no database or formatting or anything. So it did analyze and then come up with the right answer in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Alright, so thank you. Considering the time, I'm going to quickly just show you two more things, then we'll move on. I'm going to hand over to Semil. He's going to talk about the Fab Orchestrator. So this is on the understanding in a city council meeting what has been spoken, and it could be in various forms. It's not just only reading a document, correct? It could be watched, it could be text, it could be image. You could do all of those, correct? So you could summarize everything and then bring it to a state where the user and end user can quickly understand what was the decision made and what's the next step, what's the next course of action. So you don't need to read through all this document. We don't need to sit down and look at all this, like, the talking points, correct? We can use this type of tools and get a summary of what needs to be done immediately as the next step, correct? Let's move on. So the next one, I talked about complex procurement. This is one of the things that what I feel is quite fascinating, correct? So I have a procurement process. I have 100 vendors. I don't want to go through each of those vendors. I need a fact-based, evidence-based decision-making process, correct? Out of all the 100 vendors, which vendor I want to work with, why and how, correct? So that's what this is essentially. So this is looking at all the RFPs, responses, and see which response meets my expectation and why, how, correct? So that's what this is. So this is the 1 second, I'll copy and paste this one. So score the proposal of Sunnywile's marketing and communication RFP against the RFP's evaluation criteria. We define the criteria. I use sample data, I define the criteria. You could define any criteria. So these are the criteria that on which I want to look at the proposal or evaluate the proposal. So that's what I'm asking for. Now you could see, look at the RFP. Okay, it understands what are the criteria that needs to be there. So it says what is the RFP for, it tells you everything, and then it also gets to the point where you could make a decision on this actually. So all I'm trying to say, any complex documents, correct, can be brought to a level where end users can use in a fraction of seconds immediately, correct? So that's the power. It's almost building an invisible human, correct? You have a human, you can touch and feel how the human looks, correct? But it could perform the same thing what a human could do, correct? And that is the state it's getting into right now. It's no longer asking a question, getting an answer. It's no longer predicting something and doing something, right? It is getting to a point where you are trying to build an invisible human, where the human is going to function like a real human, right? So that is the state it is getting into. That's why we thought like it's the right time to get started something. As we said, our goal is to, for community, by community, make things simple. Ordinary people could access all this kind of knowledge, skills that we get actually. Alright, so what the lab could do, as we talked several times, if you have an idea, if you want to build, we have a place to build, okay? Second, if you want to get trained, there is a place. You could come to us, we'll get you trained, we can go from there. So let's say I have no thoughts on how to solve this problem, we could do research, correct? So research, it's more industry focused, not necessarily an academic. We are not an academic institution, right? We are not like, MIT or a Stanford, Harvard type of academic institution. How do we solve industry problems? Industry problem requires sometimes maybe research. There's so many talk about the model is not providing a consistent deterministic response. When I ask a question, the same question is not getting the same response the next time when you ask. How do you solve this problem, correct? So there's no answer, correct? We need some research, correct? So that kind of research could be done here actually. Then obviously, correct, there's the societal value here, correct? So how do we upskill this one? I've been in industry for 20 years, 10 years, 10 years, 15 years, right? But I want to be in this journey. I want to get involved. How do we upskill myself, right? So these problems are not answered at a level that where it reaches the ordinary people, right? As I said, not everybody goes to Stanford, not everybody goes to MIT, right? So we are people mixed up different skills, different level, different learning experience. How do you bring an ecosystem where we could provide all of those? So the lab primarily focus on building applications. Okay, if city want to look at something, okay, city want to find out where am I spending my money. Okay, is this money is being realized? The spend that what I'm making to the city is this being realized? Right? So how do we analyze all of such complex data sets? Right? So if you want to build something, we have a platform we could build along with you. And if you want to get trained, we provide training as well. And research, yes, and then upskilling. So these are the primary focus what the lab is going to do. All right. So what industry we are primarily focusing on? I'm not saying that we are going to solve any problem, every problem that happens around us. Okay. So we have a team who specializes in this one. I myself primarily work on public sector. So I focus on state and county and city at several different levels. So if there's a need for providing problems or solving problems in the public sector, we can. And healthcare, consumer, energy, manufacturing, retail, commercial real estate. So I would say quickly, the commercial real estate market, actually we are currently helping the government of Singapore on implementing public safety and building compliances, correct? Any building that you have that requires operated under certain standards and conditions, correct? Air quality, fire safety. So these are all need to be constantly monitored, measured and reported deficiency. So it's a very complex problem to solve. Correct? It's not an easy problem. It's not just going and uploading a document and asking a question, getting a response. So these are very complex problems. So how do you solve this problem? So bottom line, you are ensuring public safety and you are providing compliance at a scale. It functions by independently without any human involved. Correct? So we have several industries. So these are the industries where we have worked, we have expertise, we can help you. All right. How does the research take place? So let's say if you want to do some research along with this, right? So the research in terms of what exactly the research is going to focus on. As I said, it's not an academic industry, academic focused research, it's fully industry based, correct? So you have a problem, you want to solve the problem, correct? So start from something very basic, foundation, correct? So our research roadmap starts from something that teach you to understand the foundations, correct? So once you understand, then start the building model. And then do a pilot, okay? Once the pilot is done, then deploy, correct? So when I say research, do think that just we are sitting and doing academic based research on a very abstract concept level, correct? These are all real industry problem. You take the problem and then do research on this problem. So we don't have a solution, correct? When we get to research, that means there is no predefined solution readily available, correct? Whether it's a Google or a Microsoft or AWS, no one is providing this kind of solution. We want to get started, correct? So this is the roadmap to solve industry problem, research-based approach, right? So when I say research-based approach, there is no predefined solution, there is no answer to the question that what you are looking for. You start somewhere, and this is a journey, and this is a roadmap that what we are thinking about it. All right. Now let's talk about why do we want to introduce this agentic AI architect program. Okay, so everybody knows at this current state, the basics about artificial intelligence. It's not new to anyone, correct? We all know this one, correct? It's not something that we are coming out of school and we're trying to understand this. Once we all industry professionals, we all know what it is, correct? So what is really needed to solve these kind of complex problems, correct? So there are so many different ecosystems involved, correct? So when you go into a real world, correct, you are not just dealing with only AI. There is other supporting tools, supporting systems, and processes involved, correct? So how do we connect all the dots? To connecting all the dots needs much more critical thinking, correct? Critical thinking. So how do we make someone to be critical thinking? So that is why we kind of structure this one. Be an architect, correct? You understand the problem, you realize, visualize what the problem is going to be, then come up with a solution and go towards provide an end-to-end problem-solving approach, and that is how this program is structured. The agentic AI architect program was structured. So I can talk more at the end in case there's any questions. We are willing to take your questions and we can answer this one. But at a high level, the idea of this program make you be a critical thinker, make you be an end-to-end solution provider who can understand from problem all the way to build, test and deploy everything. So how do you connect all the various dots that's involved to build a scalable AI solution? So that's the objective of this program. It's currently designed for 12 weeks. Doesn't mean it's going to be 12 weeks. Depends on how, because we are also experimenting. And based on how the learning outcome comes in, based on the learner's experience, we may adjust this one. But at this moment, it's designed for about 12 weeks program, and it's completely hands-on, and it is going to be based on real-world industry use cases actually. So that's the objective for this architect program. Beyond all the things what I talked about, to make this work in a real world or in a business circumstances, people need to trust on your solution and ensure you have a safety, secure, trustable responses from the model, correct? So if you are using AI, make sure the customer who's going to use this one, the end user who's going to use this one, they are trusting the solution what we are providing. So how do we build a safe, secure, trustable applications or solutions using AI? So that's the key success factor, correct? Just because I'm building something doesn't mean everybody's going to use, correct? We have to ensure, correct, the end user, the people who's going to use this one, they are trusting what you are building, they are accepting what you are going to deploy for them actually. So of course you have simplified their jobs, you are helping them to be very productive, correct? But at the same time, there is a humanity behind the scene, correct? Like they need to understand this one. So this is also part of our lab to ensure, correct, you understand when you are deploying a solution, how do you make sure the recipient of the solution are trusting, or they feel secure and they feel it is responsible. That means something goes wrong, somebody has to be responsible. Who that would be, correct? So, and what to do, what not to do. Ethically, this is what you're supposed to do, but you are doing this in a way it's not ethically right. So, how do you ensure all those things? So, that's kind of practice. So, part of our lab will also help you to understand all these aspects. Okay, so how do I get involved? Obviously, again, this is not a sales pitch. Again, as I said, it's a open platform. It's by community for community. So you can get enrolled with us, and you will find mentors. Okay, it's just not me. There are people behind, so you will get to access to the mentors, and you can also be partnered with us. And of course, we will host events. Like our goal is to go across the Bay Area and provide this as a platform and make it easy to accessible for everybody. Correct? So we want to ensure, like, so this goes across the board. Everybody get benefit out of it. In case if anybody will sponsor for this events, such events, we are willing to host this event as well. Actually. So these are the different ways you can get involved. So feel free and reach out to us. We'll go from there. All right. I kind of talked about it, like, so you can connect with us. There is an application process. And once it's done, then there's an onboarding process, then we can start on the build process, correct? Like that's how it works. And in terms of like the architect program, what we talked about is like, so it's a total program. So this is just to give you an impact, like, so how we are making an impact on the community. So we spoke to the city, we spoke to all the elected officials, and we kind of like, came together to form this one actually. So this is just highlighting, like, so how many cities we are targeting, how many like, peaks we are targeting this program, and also that's what this is. Alright, so I'm going to skip this one. Let's move on.